Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt and I'm the Whiskey Nerd.
I'm Rose and I'm a whiskey noob. And this week we attended Whiskey Live Dublin and learned so much about all the different whiskeys that were there.
Yeah, it was a really great experience. It's such a good time to see all the whiskeys. There was 106 stalls, 106 different whiskey brands, all represented there, all showing off what they had to offer. They had some of their classic range as well as some new releases, including Gold Spot, which is a limited edition from Mitchell & Son. We will be opening this and we will be having a review of this, not on camera here. We will be kind of taking our time and maybe really enjoying this, really getting to know this. We had a couple of samples at Whiskey Live.
It was so good. I think it was our first sample of the day, and it was, there were no words.
Yeah, it's so good. It's very unique because it's the first of the whiskies that they've had with a port cask finished. So it takes those appley notes and you get the port into it. Very, very nice, very different. Limited edition. It might all be sold out by the time this video comes out, so if you can still get it, definitely get it.
Yes.
And while we were there, we were really focused on kind of enjoying ourselves because we were only there for one day. It's a 2-day event. We only showed up for one day. So we were mostly focusing on enjoying ourselves, but we did go around to a couple of brands and we did have a few different interviews.
Yeah, we did little interviews where we asked everyone 3 questions. So the first one was, what's your favorite whiskey? Then of course, what's your favorite whiskey cocktail? And then what's next? What's next for your distillery, for your brand? Any fun news that they wanted to share?
Yeah, we were able to get to a lot of the good brands. There was some of the big brands like Teeling, there just so many people.
They were packed. There's no way we were getting in there.
No, but maybe next year we might go for 2 days and we might be able to spend a bit more time waiting for them to get quieter. We just get in there and do more of an interview. But we did manage to get around, I think, 11 people interviewed, which is a lot. So I think we should get into it. Yeah. So we did manage to speak to a number of distilleries, and first on the list had to be Rose's favourite distillery, Boann Distillery, where we spoke to Michael Walsh.
The Beyonce of whiskey.
The Beyonce of whiskey, as she's taken to call him. He's the head distiller there. Very interesting guy. Very focused on what the future of whiskey is, what future whiskey can be. They had a whole range of different samples from their kind of new pot still whiskey experiments. Very good, very interesting. So let's check out that interview.
First question, what's your favorite Irish whiskey? It can be Boann or non-Boann.
I think my favourite Irish whiskey that I've had is it's done exclusive for the Irish Whiskey Society, the Maribone Lane. I love it was tied into the 1916 type history, but an absolutely exceptional example of hot still whiskey married with sherry cask, Maribone Lane. Can't get it anymore either. So.
Okay. If you had to choose your favorite whiskey cocktail, what would it be?
Drop of water is all I need to add to whiskey there, to be honest.
That's actually a fun answer. That's very good.
I'll drink anything, but
Yeah. What's next? What's next for Boann?
Well, as you can see from our stand, we produce about 100 different distillates between different mash bills, different distillation methods, combined with different cask types. So we want to keep pushing the boundaries of flavour for Irish whiskey. And what's very important for us now is obviously within the next 6 months we become a whiskey producer, and that we'll have produced a 3-year-old whiskey. So the next year is going to be very exciting for not only what we do as a new make spirit, but what we start to produce as our own whiskey.
I might throw in a 4th question just because you're my favorite distiller. For the Whistler Mosaic Marcella cask, what were you thinking when you put such beauty together?
Well, what I was thinking is that my personal opinion is that single grain is a somewhat underappreciated style. It's not the most complex style. It's soft and sweet, delicate, but such an easy sipping style, but often gets ruined by too heavy a cask influence that doesn't marry well together. So we matured it in bourbon first for 5 years, which layers on some of your honey, thyme, plum sweetness, but to add some complexity then. I've worked with Marsala. It doesn't always stand up to a single pot still or a single malt, but I felt a perfect combination to that more delicate style and to layer on some citrus. So I'm very happy. It turned out exactly as I wanted it to turn out.
So nice.
It's not always the case, but the Marsala is one I'm more proud of.
Yeah, I bought multiple bottles of it already.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. given that Boann makes my favorite whiskey, the Whistler Mosaic Marcella, I brought this bottle with me. It was my first bottle, and I got Michael Walsh to sign it, so you know I got Beyonce's signature right here.
Yeah, so she managed to get, I don't think he had ever signed a bottle of whiskey before, but he was very taken aback by the fact that Rose very much enjoyed his whiskey. So yeah, it was just
tasty.
A fun little experience. And actually right after that, because it was quite a busy day, we went over to the Craft Irish Whiskey Company.
Yeah.
And we had a tasting of 4 of their whiskies. Actually, we was tasting with Jay Bradley, the kind of founder of the Craft Irish Whiskey Company. We tasted the Devil's Keep, the Brulloch, the Tascon, and the Dun.
Yes.
The Devil's Keep won, I think, the best Irish whiskey the year it was released, and the Dun is a new release that'll be coming out later this year. So I think we'll check that out into that. What is your favourite whiskey other than, of course, the Devil's Keep?
Of my own whiskies?
Of anything.
Anything.
Of anything outside of the Devil's Keep. Well, the Don I actually prefer to the Devil's Keep, and I prefer the A, which is this one up here.
Yeah.
So yeah, see what I'm trying to do is, prior to all that, my favourite whiskey was a Bushmills 21-year-old, and that scored higher than any whiskey that I'd scored previously, because I used to have a YouTube channel and I would score whiskies as well, and I always swore that whenever I launch my own whiskies, they have to score above the Bushmills 21, which is a 9.1 on my scale, or we don't release them. So we will not release a whiskey unless it scores above.
Okay, what's your favourite whiskey cocktail?
Probably, I would have to say an old-fashioned, done well.
Okay.
Thank you, sister.
Well, you can make it with Irish whiskey, you can make it with Scotch, but yeah.
Aside from the Don, what's next? Have you got anything in the works?
Yeah, we do. We have the Storyteller coming out, which is kind of cool. That one is, we've got obviously the one that you've just seen there. The Storyteller is this one. I'll quickly show you. I have them on the phone. This one. So, this is the Storyteller.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That looks amazing.
So it looks like the bottle's floating.
Yeah.
That one's our next one that's coming out. And then we're working on some big collaborations. Yeah, oh, you want to say it? Sorry. We're working on some big collaborations with some bigger brands, like what we did with Fabergé. So some very famous watch companies, very famous sports car companies. So we're working on those as well.
Interestingly, amongst the 4 whiskeys that we tried with them, both us and Jay agreed that it was the Dun that kind of, piqued our flavor interest the most.
Yeah.
Which is also good because I'd say it's probably their most accessible whiskey. It's a little on the higher side.
It's about €100. They said
Yeah.
the price would be, which is it's a high price, but especially compared to some of the other releases they have, which come in at about €1,000.
Yeah.
€5,000, and then there was the Emerald Isle collection, which included like a Fabergé egg, so you were buying more than a whiskey. That auctioned off, I think, for €3 million.
We don't have that kind of money.
No, so by comparison to that, €100 is quite a reasonable price, you might say.
Yes.
But it is still a pricier whiskey, but I think compared to the other stuff, it'll definitely let people maybe try some of the stuff that they're offering. So it'll be a good experience, I think. Yeah. The Dun will be released later this year. They didn't have an exact time frame, but in terms of something which was just released, right after that tasting, we crossed over the aisle and we spoke to Lost Irish. I spoke to Donna from Lost Irish. It was a whiskey. It was released in other countries earlier this year, but in Ireland it was released, I think, just a couple of days ago. Very nice, very tasty whiskey, and also very good for cocktails. Like Donna herself, she really likes making cocktails, so we had a good little chat there.
She's very nice.
Oh yeah. So I think let's have a look at that. So, what's your favourite whiskey of any whiskey you could choose?
That is so hard because I love so many whiskies, but of course my favourite whiskey right now is Lost Irish. We just came out on Monday in Ireland, so it's definitely my favourite. It's what I'm going to. Very sippable, very drinkable, your everyday whiskey.
Okay, if you had to pick one, only one whiskey cocktail, what would it be?
So it's another difficult question. Here with the hard questions.
I know, right?
I love a lot of Irish whiskey cocktails, I have to say, but my go-to right now, I live in California, so I'm looking for something refreshing. So my go-to is a Gold Rush, which is lemon juice, honey syrup, and Irish whiskey. Very simple, easy to make at home as well, but really, really tasty and refreshing.
Okay, and can you tell us anything new coming, anything secret in the works for Lost Irish?
So Lost Irish is new. Like, this is as new as it gets, right? We just came out, and we've got so many different barrels touching the whiskey. It's a 7 barrels, 6 continents touching Lost Irish. So we already have something that's really new and unique. But of course, down the line, there'll be fun twists. What we really want is for everybody to fall in love with Lost Irish as it is, this core brand. and then we'll see what happens in the future. So come back to me.
Okay, we will.
Perfect.
I will say it was good for me at least to meet someone else who really did like cocktails and liked going beyond like the old fashioned, as you'll see throughout
I like going out beyond the old fashioned.
Yeah, but as you'll see throughout the trend, there was definitely a preference for old fashions in the interviews. But it's good to see someone saying like a gold rush, something a bit different, something a bit unique. My favourite whiskey cocktail is a whiskey sour, but it was interesting to see someone kind of going out beyond the pale there.
Okay.
But later on, right after that interview, we actually spoke to Coull from Dingle, which are a very good distillery, and they've made not just whiskey, but they do gin and vodka, also very good for cocktails. So it's very interesting to see their stand because it's getting popular. Like Dingle has definitely established themselves, but they're still experimenting with new things. It isn't in the interview, which we'll check out now in a second, but they did tell us that they have a core release of their single pot still whiskey, which will be coming out whenever it's ready, so keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, check out the interview.
What's your favourite whiskey?
Okay, I'm probably not allowed to say Dingle, so I will say Scapa 16.
Okay. And then what's your favourite whiskey cocktail?
Whiskey cocktail? Apart from whiskey on its own, I would go an old fashioned.
Oh, very nice choice. And then what's next for Dingle?
What's next for Dingle is hopefully a total rebuild of the distillery with a bit of expansion. Yes, we're waiting to do that.
So you're doing a big expansion then?
Yes.
Okay, very exciting.
A much bigger visitor experience and hopefully a little bit more capacity to make more whiskey as well.
Okay, cool. Speaking of another established brand, we also visited West Cork, which I personally really love because they're one of the first whiskeys we started buying and just having in the house regularly. Like, we usually have West Cork just sitting behind us in the bar. It's one of our standard whiskeys that we have in the house that we'll share with people, make cocktails with, just have a little bit on its own. So I thought it was really nice to sort of check out their interview. What's your favorite whiskey?
My favourite whiskey, my own personal favourite whiskey is kind of a green spot, and I do like our black cask whiskey actually as well. So it's like a Jameson Black Barrel or a Bushmills Black Bush.
Okay, very nice. And what's your favorite whiskey cocktail?
My favourite whiskey cocktail would be like a rye Manhattan or like a black cask Manhattan.
Okay, very nice choice. And what's next for West Cork?
What's coming up for West Cork? We have 2 releases coming up later this year. It's going to be a pot still and a single malt. They're going to be aged and they're going to be age statement. So that's about as much as I can say. But I'm very excited about it.
Alright, very excited. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
It was definitely good to see their future plans in West Cork, like the new age statement, single malt and single pot still whiskies. So it's good to see what they're coming out with, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for them later on this year. And speaking of whiskey brands that are established and are trying out new things, we went over to Tullamore Dew and had a chat with them because they've got something in the works for later on this year. So let's check that out.
What's your favourite whiskey from either Tullamore Dew or from anywhere else?
Probably our 12-year-old.
12-year-old? Okay, very good. What's your favourite whiskey cocktail?
Definitely a whiskey sour, and that's with a Tully.
Yes.
It's purely because of the triple blend that kind of gives a different layer of flavour, 3 different layers of flavour. So we're kind of well equipped to be the lead from a whiskey sour point of view.
And any secrets you can share? Anything new coming from the distillery?
It was very popular. I remember when we came in.
Top secret?
We are working on some innovation for 2024. Obviously with whiskey we can't just release. We do have some exciting kind of new flavours. So we have Tullamore Dew honey in the Czech Republic, which is doing incredibly well, actually far better than we thought and anticipated. We've also launched in Germany now. It's a lower ABV, so it is only 35%, but it's absolutely incredible from a liquid point of view. So I can't guarantee, and we'll keep your eyes peeled.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
And then after that, we went over to Blackwater Distillery to see Velvet Cap Whiskey. So we actually chatted to Peter Mulryan, the CEO, the founder of Blackwater Distillery, because they were showing off some of their Velvet Cap whiskies. They have some new releases there, but at the same time, they've also got a new whiskey coming out soon, which they call Dirt Grain, which despite the name not sounding the best, the sound of the whiskey does sound really nice. So it's really interesting to see how passionate he was and how excited he was. See if you can spot the moment in the interview where he gets very excited about talking about his own whiskey.
So, what's your favourite whiskey, either from your own range or elsewhere?
Well, I'm a big fan of Springbank.
Okay.
Springbank 10 is probably my special whiskey. I like that a lot. It's really, really lovely.
Any reason why, or just?
It's superbly complex. It's just a lovely whiskey to sit down and just watch television, sipping it gently. It's a lovely way to spend a little bit of quality time with yourself.
Exactly. If you were to pick one whiskey cocktail, your favourite, what would it be?
You know what? This is a terrible thing to confess. My idea of a whiskey cocktail is a whiskey with a little bit of ice in it.
Oh, just ice.
Yeah, I'm a purist.
Purist.
Yeah, cocktails are fine, but I like whiskey.
Yeah.
So,
not a cocktail.
Is that a cocktail?
It's adding something.
Okay, all right.
And what's next for Velvet Cap?
What's next for Velvet Cap? Well, actually, we're next for Blackwater.
Oh, for Blackwater.
It's our own whiskey. We've been making whiskey since 2018. It's now 4 years old, and nearly 4 years old. We're releasing possibly end of this year, maybe early next year. Depends on supply lines. Like at the moment, bottles are a problem, labels are a problem, corks are a problem, I'm a problem, everything's a problem, putin's a problem. So yeah, that's next. But when it hits the shelves, I really don't know.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Speaking of excited, it was great to see the passion from Rosi at Tuath glass when we were there. Obviously we have a ton of these already, but it was great to see kind of what her vision was when she was getting it together, what she wanted out of the glass, also what kind of whiskey she likes to have in her own glasses, you know? Like, these are very nice glasses, just put them on their side, like.
Yeah.
What's your favorite whiskey?
My favorite whiskey is Redbreast 12.
Ooh, good choice.
Sherry finish, always a favorite, and I have a sweet tooth. So, Redbreast 12.
Okay, very nice. What's your favorite whiskey cocktail?
An old-fashioned.
Oh, that's such a good choice, isn't it?
Made with Redbreast 12.
Very good, good connection there.
Yeah.
So what's next?
What's next for us is we have been growing and growing the Tuath, and people have been asking us about a smaller version. Yeah, so we've been working and we have designs and things in place for it. We did get a bit slowed down by COVID on that, so we hope next year to be working on that project again, that you're going to see a Tuath Young.
Ooh, very excited for that.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks so much.
No, lovely to meet you.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you too.
It was great to see that the innovation in whiskey isn't just all about the actual whiskey, it's also in the glasses. So to see Rosi saying that she's got new glasses coming out soon is kind of cool. It's very exciting to see what they'll do.
Yeah.
But speaking of innovation, we then went over to Two Stacks and Killowen because they were sharing a stand because those two brands work really closely together. And we had a chat with Donal McLynn. He's one of the founders of Two Stacks. He was very interested in kind of cocktails, very interested in just kind of the whole whiskey scene, so let's check that interview out.
What's your favourite whiskey, either from Two Stacks or elsewhere?
Oh, good question. At the moment?
Yeah.
Or how am I feeling?
At the moment.
Redbreast 27.
Oh, good choice. What's your favourite whiskey cocktail?
Ooh. Oh, that's even harder. I'm gonna go whiskey highball. Yeah, I'm big into highballs at the moment. Trust me, it's coming. Big in Japan, it's coming.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
And anything new coming? I can see blue cans here. Anything else to share?
We've got blue cans. They're going to be rolled out hopefully by the end of the summer. New wise, we just had a new warehouse set up, so things are like too manic at the moment to be doing any releases. We've got Polaris 2.1.
Have a bottle of that.
At the end of the year, it's going to be a single pot still. But we've been lacking the time to do any new releases. So at the moment, we just got Jam in the Can for Ireland.
And watch this space.
Yeah.
So obviously Two Stacks were there. They were showing off their whiskies, especially the Dram in a Can, which is a very super portable, super easy to drink whiskey. Very nice, very kind of cool. But they've also got something else in the works.
I know. Another version coming later this year.
Yeah, this is a single malt version of the Dram in a Can. So instead of being a blended whiskey, it's a single malt whiskey. We tried it. It's very, very nice, very approachable. So it's kind of fun to see that. And apparently they've got maybe plans for the highball cocktails, which he mentioned in the interview. So very looking forward to seeing that, because canned cocktails can be hard to get right. So I would trust them to maybe make a good effort of it.
Yeah, and just to let you ladies know, you can fit a couple of these in your purse.
And then we walked kind of around the stall and had a chat with Brendan Carty from Killowen. Very nice guy, very friendly, very excited to show off what Killowen are doing. And he's a real fan of poaching, and if you check out the interview, he does kind of give a little bit of a hint of something new in the works.
So, what's your favourite whiskey? Anything from your own range or from elsewhere?
I'm just going to have to say it's actually not a whiskey, it's Boann, which is poaching.
Poaching?
Boann, poaching. It's going to sound cocky. I'm sorry if it does, but I think Boann is the best spirit in the country. And this sounds a real terrible thing to say, but I think Boann, the only aged Boann is the best spirit in the country.
Any reason why? What kind of flavours do they come through?
50% oats, 50% malted barley, and you know what we get out of it is we get licorice, we get blueberry, we get creme brulee, clotted cream, custard, lovely stuff.
Okay. If you were to pick one, only one whiskey cocktail that you would drink, what would it be?
Old fashioned.
Old fashioned all the way.
If it's got a good sturdy whiskey in there, an old fashioned.
Yeah. Okay, and can you share any new exciting things coming from Killowen?
What we released, the new Cougar for the Killowen Cult exclusive this week, today, for Whiskey Live, it was brilliant. Well, our own distillate should have been out. Supply chain issues mean the bottles are delayed coming. Killowen's first release should have been out. It's coming very soon. As soon as we get the bottles, it's coming out
very soon.
Actually, there's one other wee thing. I've got a bottle here of Belgrove.
Okay.
Well, so Belgrove's my favourite distillery outside of Ireland. So we still continue on those experimental bottlings. So the Belgrove Oak Whisky is actually coming out. So everybody knows Killowen's coming out, but nobody knows Belgrove's coming out.
Well, they know it here.
Belgrove's coming out. It's probably the next release. Yeah, Belgrove. It's gorgeous.
Speaking of poaching, I've actually really started liking it. Like, the flavors in it were just like stuff I wasn't expecting, so we had to head on over to Shortcross and chat with Chloe a little bit more on the poaching there.
So, what's your favourite whiskey?
I will definitely have to say Shortcross, but out of the collection that we have, our single malt is absolutely my favourite. It was voted Best New Irish Whiskey at the Irish Whiskey Awards last year, and it is limited edition, so there's only a few bottles left.
Okay, any reason why it's your favourite?
It was the first Irish whiskey to be released in 100 years, so you're getting a bit of history as well as an unbelievable product.
Okay, if you had to pick your favourite whiskey cocktail, what would it be?
I was actually a cocktail bartender before this. If I was going Irish, I would say it's a Ferrari. It's my absolute favourite. But nothing beats an old fashioned.
Okay, classic cocktail for a reason.
Yeah.
And anything new coming for the distillery in the near future?
We have a couple of secrets coming. The poaching is only going to be released within the next couple of weeks, so you are the first ones to try it. We have a bit of rum coming soon as well, so that eventually we can make rum finish whiskey. And we have a couple more whiskies coming. So a peated version is next. There's some pot still, there's some cask strength, so a lot of different stuff coming.
Okay, great.
It was so cool to see Shortcross because they're not just focused on the whiskey, they're also having the poaching, they have some gins and some rums coming out as well.
Ooh, I wonder if I'll get some Jack Sparrow vibes.
Yeah, so it would be cool to see what an Irish rum would be like. It might not be Jack Sparrow, maybe John Sparrow.
John Sparrow!
So it was just cool to see
Seamus Sparrow!
Seamus Sparrow. Cool to see the innovation in the Irish whiskey scene, and of course, if you talk about innovation, you have to go talk about Jack O'Shea. He's the current president of the Irish Whiskey Society, and he's had a hand in setting up loads of distilleries. Like, he's helped out with Pierce Lyons, I think he's helped out with Sailor's Home. He's done a lot of kind of cool things. So
he's also very nice.
He's also a very nice, very friendly guy, so we had a chat with him as well.
So, I mean, as president of the Irish Whiskey Society, I've got to ask you, what's your favourite Irish whiskey of any Irish whiskey you could have?
This man will answer for me.
Powerstone's Lane. It's fantastic whiskey. It is rich, flavourful. At the President's tasting in November, we're going to have a Powerstone's Lane deconstruction. Excellent. And we're going to have some real old whiskies. The whole tradition of Powerstone's Lane. If you had to make a whiskey cocktail, if you're going to make a cocktail with whiskey, what would you have? Old fashioned?
Yeah, old fashioned.
Old fashioned? Old fashioned all the way? Yeah. And is there anything new coming for the Irish Whiskey Society? Anything new special? Anything exciting?
There is a new whiskey we're bringing out. We're bringing it out this autumn. And you may have tasted it already at the Sailor's Home stand. And it's called Storm Chaser.
Storm Chaser, okay.
Yeah. And it's the most unusual whiskey. It's an old malt, but it's finished in stout.
Stout, okay.
Porter cask and a Madeira cask.
Very nice. That
So,
sounds...
have you tried it?
No, but I will.
Yeah, well, it's under the counter at present, so...
Okay, we'll have to try that.
If you come across, I'll be able to take care of you.
Well, thank you very much.
But it'll be on the market in autumn.
Okay.
It's a magic whiskey.
I'll try that. Thank you very much.
And after that interview, it was pretty much the end of the day. Like, we did manage to get over to Sailor's Home and try out the Storm Chaser whiskey, which, like, Jack wasn't lying when he said it's a magic whiskey that's very, very tasty. It will be out in autumn, so keep an eye out for that, because we were getting chased out of the building. The security were kind of ushering everyone out, so I think the biggest lesson we learned was next year go for both days.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool to see how friendly everyone was. We were a little bit surprised by how friendly and outgoing and approachable all the brands were, but I guess we shouldn't have been.
Yeah. I was also just like so surprised that like actual like the head distiller, the owners, like the big people in the whiskey worlds and everything were actually there. I just kind of expected to be like some of their like staff or workers there, but it was so cool to actually go and be able to be like to a distiller and be like, hey, so what were you thinking of when you put this whiskey together? An owner be like, so what's like what are the next steps for whiskey for your brand and everything? So it was just such a cool opportunity to talk to people who are like leading the charge, trying new things, and see them so happy and excited to talk about what they worked on.
Yeah, because they were very, once you got some of them talking, it was hard to stop them talking. Like, they were all very excited.
Yes.
Like, that's what I was saying. Like, we shouldn't have been surprised, because this is their craft. It's not just their craft, it's their passion.
Yeah.
It's their...
It was Whiskey Christmas.
It was Whiskey Christmas, yeah. Rose kept saying that. But I think that's where we'll leave it. Like, that was a great interview. It was great to see all those people. Definitely check back maybe next week. We'll have a review of Gold Spot. And if you're in Dublin, when Whiskey Live Dublin is on, absolutely make sure to check it out.
Definitely.
So, see you next time. Slán.
Bye bye.